Okay, we're ready for Texas rig?
Texas.
Alright. So this would be the Texas rig. In this particular rig, this would be for flipping shoreline brush or any kind of heavy cover. We don't necessarily want the whole Carolina rig thing where we have all that separation. You're more likely to get snagged up. Sometimes when you're fishing this rig, you want to peg the sinker so it's not sliding too far away. Particularly if you're fishing like heavy grass or something like that, which we don't have a whole lot of around here. There's some in Kentucky Lake, but most of these other lakes will be fishing. There's really not much grass. Quite a few people I've heard advocate not pegging the sinker, just because then it gives a little bit of that Carolina rig idea where it's kind of able to flutter down a little bit, like when the weight slips away, it can kind of float down more slowly, and people feel like that's a more realistic kind of presentation. Almost always I do peg my sinker, just so I've gotten in the habit of doing it. If I do that, I'll use a little bobber stop. They come in a package that looks, the little thing will look like this, and they're like a little rubber piece that's on this wire. If you're going to put one on there, you put the main line through the little loop in the wire. I'm not actually going to put it on right now just because I don't want to waste one, but then you would just slide the rubber onto the line. You slide it on there, and then you can slide it up and down, and it'll stay put. Another thing you can do is just cut off a little bit of line, like you've seen me do in our practices, just tie a little knot of line above it, and that works pretty well too. And it's almost free. So I'm going to go with our bullet sinker. This is painted, notice. I'm going to try to use one that's a similar color to my bait. A lot of the baits I'm going to use are green oriented, so I've got some dark green painted ones. I use my same 4-aught hook if I'm going to use a fairly decent sized creature bait. Cinch knot again with 7 or 8 turns, depending on the line size. If it's real heavy line, you get away with a few less turns. With lighter line, I'll usually go closer to 10 sometimes. Cut off the tag there again, maybe a 1/4 inch, slightly less. You're going to rig some kind of creature bait, usually a crawbait, maybe a lizard, maybe a worm, any kind of soft plastics like that. For this particular one I'll use this. So again, I'm trying to put it on there nice and straight. And for this one, I'll punch it all the way through, and then I definitely will bury the hook back in the plastic just slightly, just the very tip. Keep it from snagging. And that's your basic Texas rig. Like I say, I'll usually peg it so then it won't slide away. A lot of people advocate not, so it'll do that and then kind of flutter back down and you kind of recollect it as you pull it. This one you're going to flip in heavy cover. I use this a lot even on the rocky, steeper banks at Taylorsville and places like that. Just kind of work it down the drop-offs and things. Depending on the weight size, you can throw it out pretty deep too. I imagine to drag this around like a Carolina rig. But often people use it close to shore in heavy cover. Very effective bait. It goes through the bullet sinker, helps it kind of come through the mouth of the fish on the hook set without blowing their mouth open. Some certain jig designs and stuff will pop their mouth back open when you set the hook, and it makes the whole rig kind of come out without setting it. Very effective. Catch a lot of fish on that particular rig. One of my most utilized rigs. I'm fishing it on the same rod as the Carolina rig, 7 foot, medium heavy. Usually about anywhere from 12 to 20 pound tests, usually more like 15 to 17, kind of heavier lines. You're going to be around some thicker cover, more snaggy cover, and a lot of times bigger fish. So you need to get them out of there, get them turned before they get you hung up. Alright, let's do the drop shot, and then we'll call it a day here.